Hey guys, Mustang here bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the new free-to-play Bardock from the quest mode, his awakening into a Super Saiyan. I did get his 2 links that he gained up to level 10, which is of course Super Saiyan and then Shattering the Limit. So just like the Trunks and Broly, we are expecting him to awaken into an LR at some point. Now the thing is, they did show that roadmap which actually had the mention of Bardock's awakening and the mention of Frieza's awakening coming up. I think it's like end of November, beginning of December kind of time. But of course they didn't show on there any like the next awakening. So this is his intro animation. Yeah, it's very cool. So the thing is, you got to remember, I haven't been following the Dokkan storyline very much, but obviously with the characters being in alternate universes and alternate timelines and them all converging together and all that sort of stuff, very similar to like what Xenoverse is up to most of the time. But you got to remember that this Bardock is not the Bardock from like the original Bardock special, right? And you can see from the fact that he says to Tora in the intro, he's like, I failed you again. So he's the Bardock that's already been through the Bardock special because he has the red bandana, whereas obviously Tora still has the bandana on his arm in the cutscene. So it's kind of like an alternate, like Bardock came back in time. I haven't followed the story, but that's kind of what the equivalent of what it is it's like this Bardock has come back to the moment when Team Bardock was wiped out and has obviously either arrived too late or whatever, not able to save them, and so yeah, the anger at the at Tora being dead makes him go Super Saiyan, which is cool. So 132k start of turn defense. Let's take a look at his passive. So his super attack is the Furious Bites. Infinite attack stack, greatly raised defense in 1 turn, supreme damage to the enemy, and lowers attack. So I mean, that's a really good attack stat. A really good super attack effect. Greatly raising defense for 1 turn is obviously good. Lowering attack is useful when it's applicable, and then of course he has an infinite stack for attack, so that is good. So he gets his entrance animation, which gives him an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super for 4 turns from his entry turn when there's another 4 or more super class allies on the team. So it's another 4 or more. So the team can have 1 extreme unit on it, basically, right? Because your other 5 units would then be Bardock and 4 other superclass characters. And then he has attack and defense 100%, superclass allies key 1, attack and defense 20%, and then also time travelers allies key 1 and attack and defense 20%. He gets an additional 100% attack when there's a Wicked Bloodline enemy. He has a medium chance to crit, which is 30%. Launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super when all allies attacking in the same turn are superclass. And then he gets an additional attack and defense 50% when performing a super. Additional 50% attack and chance to crit 50% when HP is 50% or less. So if you're at half health or less, he has a 80% chance to crit, which is pretty good, as well as the little bit of extra attack buff. Now, the thing you can see is he doesn't have any defensive mechanics. So outside of like him getting multiple supers in a turn, it's interesting to think, because he's only at what, like 130 odd K defense here at the start of his first turn. So he's going to get 50% when attacking from his passive. So that's only going to put him up to just under 200k. He gets a 50% raise from his actual super attack effect. So after 1 super, he's going to be at like 270k. 2.1 million, okay. If he gets a second super, he goes up to 350. So we're at 2.2. And then if we get another one, we will clear 400k, which, I mean, for this event, at least where we are now, we should be able to tank normals relatively well. We did get the hidden potential, but it was only a normal. But yeah, that means like in the current meta at like 400k defense, he's not going to be tanking normals from some of the tougher bosses. But of course you have to remember, like, this is just his TUR awakening. So like I said at the beginning of the video, just like Trunks and Broly, he should awaken into an LR. I believe people figured out, like, as soon as his SSR originally came out, he has that same like hidden potential set of stats that shows that he should awaken into an LR. So obviously we'll have to wait and see. I need to get you floated off because I want you to be the slot 1 unit for the Bardock rotation, really. So we'll do this. We've got Vegeta on the team, so he can be another slot 1 unit. And obviously because we're showcasing Bardock and keeping him on the other rotation, they'll never be on the rotation together. So Bardock will always have the full turn of superclass allies. My one big nitpick with this unit straight away, after like looking at his details and all that kind of stuff, is that when you look at his 200% leaders, obviously he's got the Super Saiyan trio, which is the team we're running now, because it's just the Carnival 200% for Super Saiyans. He's also on the Sword of Hope Trunks because he's a time traveler. But then we've got characters like the Tech Vegeta from Saiyan Day and Int Broly from the Worldwide Celebration, the Part 2 LR. But of course, they're both extreme class units. So if you're running him on their team build, then it's gonna be a lot more difficult to get a rotation with full superclass allies. And he only provides support to superclass allies or time travelers. So he obviously wouldn't provide any support to Vegeta. He wouldn't provide any support to Broly. So this guy definitely seems to be designed more to be kind of a support unit for a superclass team. And so, of course, you know, in this instance, because we're doing like a showcase, we're going to keep Bardock on main rotation. But if we were floating him, it means we'd have to not bring Vegeta on the team. And the problem is the Super Saiyans team is kind of lacking for slot 1 units if you're not running the Tech Vegeta. And this guy's other 200% leads are units like, you know, Tech Birdku, who's pretty much aged out of the meta, Turles, who's another extreme unit, Physical God Goku, who, I mean, he's kind of hanging in there a little bit, I guess, in the meta. Like the release of the Physical Super Saiyan trio, giving him the defense buff, kind of helped him out a little bit, but he very much is like a dodge or die character now against tough bosses. So it's an interesting scenario for him for sure. Let's transform. Can put the animations off now because he doesn't have an active skill or anything. Maybe just like the Trunks and Broly, he'll get an active skill when he awakens. The number one thing I would love to see, because now that we've seen all of his categories and everything, one of the things that I talked about in the video yesterday when I went over his details is the fact that we'd all been speculating what his awakenings and stuff were going to be, but they were kind of limited in their scope because these free-to-play units, because they obviously plan them in advance, they don't lose categories when they awaken. So like the perfect example is when they brought out that STR free-to-play Piccolo back when Garlic Jr. and AGL Kid Gohan came out, and he didn't have the Namekians category because he then awakened into Piccolo and Krillin, and so then they were a Joined Forces character, so they can gain the category Joined Forces, but they can't lose a category, so they didn't have Namekians. So the thing is, this guy, because he's awakened into Super Saiyan 1 Bardock, he's on the Super Saiyans category. So I was kind of hoping, as I talked about in that video yesterday, as we only have one in the game, it's just a very outdated banner unit at this point, I thought it would be kind of cool if he awakened into a Super Saiyan 2 Bardock as an LR. I think that would be super cool. Then he would be on categories like Power Beyond Super Saiyan, as well as obviously the Super Saiyan 2 one. But it means for that, if that was the case, he would lose the Super Saiyans category, which, as I just outlined, is obviously something that isn't going to happen. Now, the only thing we could get is if, like Trunks and Broly, he does have an active skill. Imagine if he has an active skill where he transforms into Super Saiyan 2, because then, much like units like the AGL LR Gohan, for example, he would be on Super Saiyans and Super Saiyan 2. So that would be something that I think would be super interesting, but obviously it's, I would say less likely, I don't know. I mean, that would be super awesome. I'd love a Dokkan where we have an LR Super Saiyan 2 Bardock, but yeah, unfortunately, I in terms of actual realistic like probability, I don't really see that happening. I think now that he's awakened into Super Saiyan 1, he has the Super Saiyan 1 category, he's not going to have a different form or anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, if he has an active skill where he transforms, that'd be awesome. But if he has an active skill, I imagine it will probably be an attack of some kind. But yeah, I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Now, when it comes to his overall performance, again, he is a floating support, I think, in design, because his intro buff that gives him the extra additional attack that can become a super does last for 4 turns. So that means if you float him off on the first turn that he's on, he will still have that extra attack when he comes back again. Because like if you float him off on turn 1, he won't come back until turn 4, but he'll still have that part of his intro active. So that means you can float him without losing out on the extra super. So he's always going to have 2 appearances where he has the chance to get an extra super, as long as you've got the intro buff up. But the thing is, he is a stacker, so if you're floating him, you're obviously not getting as many opportunities to stack because he's going to be on less turns. And his defense is, I think, where the main issue is going to come up, right? Because as we've already said, like, even with a triple super on the previous turn, he's only looking at being a little over, like, 400k. Really annoying that these guys got sealed. I should have just grabbed the int orbs and got a super attack for Vegeta, so we actually could have killed him. But at least you're in the standby, actually, so Bardock will still get to attack. I kind of wanted to have these guys in slot 1 on the Bardock turn, though, which is super annoying. If I put Bardock in slot 1, he's just going to get absolutely destroyed. So I think we just have to do this, which is kind of annoying. But again, like, this is a situation for Bardock. So he's got 175k now, because obviously he's getting the support from the physical trio. But if we were going to run him on this team, we would just obviously be doing the rotation like this, which would actually be, you know, that would work out quite well for Bardock. But do this. How much does this boo hit for? See, the problem is if I risk doing this, we risk getting clapped for, like, you know, actually getting supered in slot 1. If he got normal attacked, I think we would, obviously we'd still take damage. We're not going to take double digit damage, but we probably would still be okay. But we'll just do this because obviously Gohan can't attack. And yeah, he did super in slot 1. So absolutely we would have just been dead if we put Bardock in slot 1. So yeah, the big thing with him, I think he definitely needs some kind of defensive mechanic. And, you know, he's a free-to-play, he's a TUR, expected to awaken into an LR. We can't judge him too harshly from his TUR performance, but even as a free-to-play support unit that is going to stack up, his attack stats obviously aren't anything too crazy. Like 3.3, we get an additional normal, and then we don't get any more, damn. So, yeah, not exactly crazy performance from this Bardock. What I think I need to see from him when they do give him his awakening into an LR, bearing in mind that is the assumption, he could actually not get an LR awakening and just get an easy A, but I feel like they will follow in the footsteps of the Trunks and Broly, right? So the big thing that we need to see, I think, from his LR awakening is some form of defensive mechanic, right? I mean, the greatly raised defense for 1 turn on super is nice, but make that a stack as well, especially if he is a unit that is going to be, like, seemingly designed to be floated off and just be there as like a support unit for the team, because then at least he is, like, if he's on fewer turns and he's not getting as much stacking, at least he is still getting a permanent increase to his defense with each of those super attacks that he gets. So that would certainly be beneficial. But then other than that, realistically, they need to add some kind of defensive mechanic to him, whether it's dodge, damage reduction, or guard. I don't think it's an ability they would just throw on completely for free. Like, I don't think we'll see, like, guards all attacks as part of his passive. But one thing that I think we could see that would be fine is something that is conditional, as long as the condition isn't something, you know, ridiculous, right? So for example, the current part of his passive where he has the additional attack that has a high chance to become a super as long as all allies are super class, like, throw guard onto that as well, right? So, like, has a additional attack that has a, let's make that great chance as well, to be fair, when he awakens. Great chance to become a super and guards all attacks when all allies on the rotation are super class. Something like that would be really good, right? Because that's a condition that is basically free, because it's, you're pretty much with the rest of his design. He wants to be on a super class allies rotation. He supports super class allies. That's something that you're going to want to do anyway. So that's a condition that's obviously very, very easy to fulfill, and then giving him guard would definitely be beneficial, because it's not going to make him super broken. Like, if we're still talking on turn 1, if he doesn't get any sort of infinite stacking for his defense, if we're talking about him being at like 450, maybe 500 if he gets like the 4 supers K defense, just throwing on guard isn't going to mean he's going to survive like some of these massive boss super attacks, but it does sort of make it much more likely that he's going to be able to tank at least all the normals in the game significantly better. So, bit of an awkward situation here for this rotation, because we have to do the family Kamehameha. And then that means we don't really have a slot 1 unit on this rotation. It's the problem I've always said with running the Super Saiyan trio, Super Saiyan trio team, is because they're a unit that basically just wants to be in slot 2. So you kind of have to build the team around them. And so then if we're showcasing a unit on their team, we want this unit to be on rotation. But because he's not a slot 1 unit, he's kind of taking the slot 2 spot like from them. And so like realistically what I need to do here is probably just active skill with these guys so that they could go in slot 1. But obviously we'll probably just die if we do that. Also, his links, he has the Super Saiyan, like prepared for battle. He has Saiyan lineage, which isn't terrible. Saiyan pride is a link that he can get active with some of the Vegetas, but again, obviously, like we're not going to run him with Tech Vegeta because he's extreme. And then of course he has Team Bardock. So if you're running him on like a Super Saiyans team, you're not going to be getting any use out of the Team Bardock link. So yeah, overall I would say this guy's okay. Nothing crazy. I'm just going to put him in slot 1 and see what happens, because the only other thing I can do here is not have him in slot 1, and then one of the other units just kills him and we don't get to see him do anything anyway. So, is he taking 140k? Wow, I built mine for... I didn't go over my build either. I built mine for full dodge and then the rest additional. So it's 15 dodge, 11 additional. He does have farmable skill orbs that you can get from the quest mode stages, so I would say you want to go ahead and farm those. I just threw on the first ones I got from clearing them the first time because there's missions for equipping skill orbs to him, but I will go back and actually farm and try and get the better ones for him. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of AGL Bardock in his Super Saiyan form. I think the TUR is just nothing really impressive, but just kind of like Trunks and Broly, we're just essentially going to be waiting for him to awaken into an LR before we get some proper use out of him. But let me know all your guys' thoughts on the AGL Bardock down below in the comment section. What would you like to see from his LR? What would you like to see him become? What would you like to see him do? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.